All right, so it's been a while since I did one of these, and I think it's actually a good thing right now that we have time to kind of reflect on the whole year, especially with the recession and kind of all markets sort of being down, especially when it comes to trading cards, right? So today's topic, we're going to talk about why you should pretty much never listen to people when they tell you how to invest, right? Quotes, heavy quotes in trading cards, collectibles in general. And I'm going to re-emphasize this, and I think I pointed this out in the past before. Every time you see some asshole recommending on how to invest or what to invest in when it comes to collectibles, it's always some asshole with some name like, I don't know, like Charizard Sealed Investment 69 or like Sealed Collectibles or something with like sealed in their name, right? Or like investments in their name to try to give themselves some sort of credibility rather than you seeing them as just some random asshole just talking out of their ass, right? But a lot of times, what I want to point out is that any sort of advice or pretty much any kind of suggestion they have to other people on what to buy and what they should buy or what's going to go up, most of the time, they're never right. The problem I have with this is that I always like referring to this stonks meme because every time someone is right, you could say in the past 2 years, whenever like the markets were going out of control, let's say White Schwartz, for example, right? Oh, this card went up in value or whatever it is. When they're right, everyone's like, see, this is like the next sealed investment or this is the next big holy grail or something like that, right? But what about when they're wrong and they gave people bad advice, people spent thousands of dollars, they bought the wrong things, they thought certain cards would go up in value. Where are the same people that are Charizard Baller investments, sealed investments, or whatever these people's names is? Where are they like coming out to apologize when they were wrong and they told these people that bought all these products that, oh, these values would go up when clearly it didn't. And a lot of these things pretty much tanked and a lot of people lost money on it, right? Where are these same people that were giving advice saying everything was stonks, apologizing to the people that lost money? No one ever apologizes. And then it just moves on to the next thing where, oh yeah, this is going to be the next big thing. This XYZ reason is because of it, right? No one ever owns up to giving bad advice, which is why I kind of do my videos in general, right? Because I feel like you need to be very, very grounded, especially when it comes to these hobbies, because at the core of it, you want to enjoy these hobbies and you want to have fun with it, right? Sure, you can make some money on the side, and I do as well too, but you really shouldn't mislead people, especially if you're not willing to own up to pretty much saying things that aren't true. And the first one I'll start off with giving a most recent example is going to be the Charizard Ultra Premium collection, right? Whether you collect Pokemon or not, you probably heard about this. So everyone felt like they were fucking Nostra-fucking-Damus and going to be like, oh yeah, Charizard is going to be the most popular thing ever. Prices are going to go through the roof. And you're going to make a bazillion bingo bucks if you invest in this, right? Were they right? No, obviously they were wrong. If you look at it, the prices tanked all the way from people were pre-ordering this and selling this for 300. It was sold out everywhere. Now it's pretty much sub 100 at some places if you find a deal, and it's sitting on there, and you see these things sitting on shelves and no one even wants them, right? At the core of it, are the cards nice? Yes. Are the promo cards nice? They look nice? Yes. But did it exactly mean that it was going to be something that was going to skyrocket in price and going to be an investment? No, right? And everyone comes out of it saying, oh, well, they just overprinted or whatever it is, and they have some kind of excuse. But what about all the same people that said, oh, this is going to be an investment, this is going to be like the next big thing, but they don't apologize for it. They just make some kind of excuse as to why they're wrong. And that's not right? When it comes to these people on like YouTube channels or whatever is telling people to invest in these things. And when people lose money, they don't say shit. But when they're right and people make money, like, see, I told you so. This is why you should listen to me. And everyone was making these predictions because they looked at previous things like the Ultra Premium collection from Celebrations, which was also retailing for like 100 and change. And then they're sitting at 300 or more because these things at the moment are not being reprinted. And they're trying to say that, oh, okay, they thought that because this happened with the Ultra Premium collection and Celebrations, the same thing is going to happen with the Charizard one, right? No, because even if you when you look at actual investment markets, right? When you look at advertisements for investing, they have to clearly say that past performance never dictates what future performance is. And if you're buying something based on the fact that past performance was, oh, this is something that doubled, so you're going to buy the next thing expecting something to double, that's wrong and that's actually illegal. You're not even allowed to advertise things like that. Oh, because I made this client this much money in investments, you should invest with me because I'm going to make you this much money as well too, because there's no actual way for you to prove and actually guarantee that someone's going to make money. And if someone ever guarantees you something, then they're fucking lying through their teeth and they're fucking bullshitting you. I know I do like a little bit of every card game, so another thing I want you guys to look at is probably the Magnificent Mavens where it comes to Yu-Gi-Oh, right? Things you probably should be very, very, very wary of when it comes to buying these things, especially when it comes to things like ultra pharaoh rares and secret pharaoh rares, right? Where, to be honest, like the difference between them is so very minor. And then even when you look at the previous pharaoh rares for King's Court, where it comes to the god cards, in that case, the secret pharaoh rare was worth more than the ultra pharaoh rare. But then in this case, the ultra pharaoh rare, for some reason, is worth more than the secret pharaoh rare. So I want you to really, really look at this and realize, especially when it comes to modern cards, right? No matter what TCG you collect, you want to be very, very careful, because if you personally feel like there's value in there and you like the card, go for it, right? But if you're looking for some sort of investment, like expecting these values to go up, in general, these cards tend to go down in value. And then I know everyone's been still hyping about, oh, graded cards and stuff like that. Unless you personally found that you bought a lot of graded cards and you flipped it and you managed to make a lot of money off of it, if you're basing your experience is going to be similar to someone else because someone else seems like they made money selling these cards, then I really want you to rethink that before you go through with it. Another card game I want to talk about is Final Fantasy, right? I've always been kind of iffy on these values, to be honest. I want you to be very, very careful if you're the type of person that's going to spend like, I don't know, $3,000 buying a Yuffie, where the signature, I think, is just from Tetsuya Nomura. And would I personally spend this much money on this? Honestly, I would not. And I want to bring your attention. This is a really cool collection, by the way. It's on the Square Enix store if you want to pre-order it. They have a PR card collection where it's pretty much the same thing, right? It's the signature by Tetsuya Nomura. And then they actually reprinted cards like the Tifa, which I've talked about in the past, where the Tifa is selling for, like, I have one myself. People are selling them for like $800 or whatever it is. It's the same exact card with a signature on top, except it's just black and white, and that's it. And you could get a whole collection set of this for $80. So when it comes to actual value of cards, right, you look at, oh, this has a signature on top. It's the same exact card art, except it's like in a noir color scheme. And then, but you're pretty much getting the exact same card with a signature added on top. So why would this card in the $80 collection be any different from the colored one that's supposedly selling for $800 to $1,000? So I want you to realize a lot of these things are very, very subjective, and it's just because something sells for a certain price at one point in time, it's not guaranteed to sell for the same price at another point in time, because all of this is very, very speculative. And I always like to go back to White Schwartz because people were just pumping this market to oblivion, right? And I still want to bring your attention to how speculative these things are. And I always like to refer back to the Roxy pretty much, because you see it listed, like, okay, you look at it from like a outside view and you're like, oh, wow, these cards are like worth $1,600 and the market price is $1,200. And then when you look into it, you'll realize that, okay, there's like a couple listed by some idiots for like 3,000 or whatever it is. And then you look at the actual sales history, you'll realize that in the past I think this is probably past 6 months or at least past 3 months, it's only sold twice. So if you feel like, oh, it's worth this market price of 1200, 1300, and it's being listed for 15, 1600, if you're the fucking idiot that bought this for 1500, you'll realize that you're one out of three idiots that bought this for 15 to 1600. So does that mean that that's the actual market price? No, it could just mean that you're one of three idiots that bought this for 1600, right? And again, right, if you personally you can afford these things, great, but you want this for your personal collection, right? But if you're buying this because you're expecting this to be the actual value, and then at later on you're able to sell this out for 1500 to someone else when you don't want it or you need the money, then I really want you to realize, especially when it comes to smaller markets like White Schwartz, and in even larger markets like Pokemon and pretty much collectibles in general, again, it's speculative, meaning you're speculating on a price, but it does not mean that you're able to sell it back out for the price. Even if I tell you this Tifa, this Roxy is over $1,000, you need someone to be willing to pay for it, right? And when you look at numbers like this, where there's only pretty much two people that are willing to buy this, then over the course of like 6 months, then you have to be very, very wary, especially if you're thinking about investing, right? You look at like the gold signature albedo, it's only sold once on TCG Player. I mean, granted that people are listing it for ridiculous prices, right? But even if it was listed at 2000, like how many people are willing to buy it at this price? And you could make an example out of like pretty much any of these cards, right? Like, okay, this Momon, for example, I personally sold one for 500 myself. Does it mean that there's going to be some other person that's willing to spend 500-600 on it? No. And then you see people listing it for like 1,000 and 1,500 again, right? If you only see a couple of them, and let's say even if there's only 3 available out there and there's no more, does it mean people are willing to pay for it? Think about that, process it, and just be very, very careful. And then I also want to bring your attention to other markets as well too, right, where it's even more exaggerated. You look at the Mario 64 during the peak of the pandemic where everyone was at home, and then someone tried to jack up this market when it came to the graded video game market, vintage video games in general. And there was a Super Mario 64 that was graded, and it sold for $1.5 million during this time. And then I want you to look at what price it is now, right? So if we look at the actual like heritage video game auctions, and then we look at the sold history, you see again this was in July 11th of 2021 that sold for that 1.5 million. And then granted it's not the same grade, but I just want to make you realize the discrepancy between prices, right? And it's graded lower at a 9.4, but this in November 5th of 2022 sold for $3,100. This is also like not including auction house fees and whatnot, right? You're paying that auction house premium, but think about that. The difference between 1.5 million and something graded slightly lower, pretty much, that's arbitrary, right? Grading is arbitrary. I want you to realize that. 1.5 million and $3,000. Think about the actual difference in price when it comes to these things. So I want you to realize, right, and think about this. Like on a smaller scale, someone told you to invest in, let's say, a booster box case of Dragon Maid or whatever you're collecting, Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon, whatever it is. You lost a couple $100, whatever, right? But then think about who's going to apologize to you when you spend $1 million and then it turns out that it's all speculative and it could be something that's worth maybe like a couple $100 or less, or a couple $1,000. Granted, that's a really big exaggeration, right? That $1.5 million thing, there's a lot of things that factor into where, okay, this was the one that sold for $1.5 million, so it's gonna somewhat stay at a high value or whatever it is, right? You could make any sort of excuse, and there's a lot of things that go on when it comes to collectibles, why certain things stay at certain price points. There's rarity and all these other things that goes into it. But again, when you look at such a big discrepancy, it makes you realize this is what I mean by the fact that this is all very, very, very arbitrary and very, very speculative. And even grading in general is something you should be very, very, very careful about when people tell you this is worth this much money. You could do a quick Google search, a quick YouTube search result, and just look up, most expensive graded cards. And you'll see during the pandemic, the most recent 2 years, everyone said how certain things were worth so much money. And oh my God, like Charizard base set and all these vintage cards are going to the moon, right? And then 2 years later, at the current moment, has anyone apologized that they are wrong? Has anyone apologized that things dropped to half or less the value? And then the only excuse you could give is, oh yeah, just stay the course. Things will go back up again. You guys just don't know. Everyone said this prior to these 2 years, and then look at the prices afterwards, right? Pay attention to people that say these things and be very, very careful on what you actually believe and what you actually trust as trusted advice, because these things could happen to you. I feel like I always pick on that one guy that told me I'm a fucking idiot and said that they're gonna invest in a sealed Japanese case of Dragon Maid and sit on top of it. I apologize if you're out there, but I'm not trying to like pick on one specific person, right? But I want to give you an example of what I mean by it's very easy to go like, oh, I'm right. And then when it turns out to be right, and then you're a fucking genius. But then when you're wrong, does anyone ever apologize to anyone that they made the wrong decision? They gave the bad advice. So let's just say, for example, if you bought a sealed case of Dragon Maid in Japanese, and then, oh, it came out in English, and then the Japanese one was probably going to be worth a lot less now, right? Is anyone going to apologize to that person if someone gave them the advice that, oh, I think you should invest in Dragon Maid because maybe it won't come to English, maybe it'll be stamps, maybe it'll be censored or whatever it is, and then it turned out everything was exactly the same? Again, right, I want you to realize it's very easy to flip these sides, right? It's very easy to just say, oh, I'm right when I'm right because it didn't come out in English. But then when I'm wrong, oh, it did end up coming out in English. And then you're the asshole that's sitting on top of a sealed case of Dragon Maid thinking that you're going to make a bazingle bucks or whatever it is, right? And then also to look at a lot of sealed cases dropping to 700, 800. And you could buy like a sealed case of a lot of White Schwartz right now for those prices. And then you look at how people could say, oh, well, it's just low now. If you invest in it, then it's going to go up, right? Yeah. So it's, again, right, the same kind of relationship where it's really easy to just say, oh, if I just buy a sealed case, everyone's selling them for low for $700-800 or whatever it is. If I buy it now, then if it goes up, then I'm a fucking genius and I could tell you it's right. But then again, I want you to look at what if they're wrong? What if it turns out no one wants that case of Fate Grand Order Camelot? No one wants Tokyo Revengers. No one wants Attack on Titan final season. If you have the money to spend and you don't care about losing it, great. You could tell everyone you're a fucking genius and you had a crystal ball and you just knew it was all going to happen. But then if you're wrong, then all the people that listened to you and bought all these cases, then they lost money and no one's going to apologize to them. You're not going to refund money to them, right? So just be really careful about that, guys. Like, I honestly feel like if you enjoy these franchises, you enjoy Fate Camelot like I do, and, you know, you enjoy the anime series and you're collecting it because you purely enjoy it and you find there's value in it, great. But then if you're looking to, I always say, if you're looking to invest in this, there's so many other options to do it. If you're doing it just because you don't care about losing the money and it's just a hobby for you, great. But if you're looking to really make money off of it, honestly, there's so many other better options when it comes to investments that is much more realistic and kind of stable, as opposed to buying cardboard and then you're listening to Charizard Bowler 69 or like Waifu Investments 69 on like Reddit, YouTube, or Facebook, or whatever it is, Twitch, or whatever it is, right? Telling you that this card is stonks when clearly a lot of these times they are wrong and no one ever admits when they're wrong. And a lot of people don't speak out when they made the wrong choice because they're embarrassed. And I rather point these things out when before a lot of people make these mistakes. And even if I help one person out there, then, you know, then I did something good, right? But then again, what do I know, right? I'm just some asshole on the internet, and for all you know, I'm just talking out of my ass as well too, right? But so far from everyone that's ever messaged me, I haven't been wrong. And most of the advice that I give is pretty stable when it comes to, and pretty consistent, right? I don't bullshit you. I tell it how it is. And yeah, can you make money? Yes. Is it worth it in the end to take these risks? Not really. You could argue that, oh, if you don't take risks, then you'll never make money. Oh, so pretty much, oh, if I do it, then I can make double the money on some of these sealed investments. But at the same time, it's like you could go to the casino as well too, and you could spin the slot machine, and you could bet everything on black, and you could potentially double your money. But does it mean that you're gonna? No, it doesn't. Any asshole could say that you could have the potential to make a lot of money, right? But it takes a lot for people to admit that they're wrong, and a lot of people don't admit that they're wrong. A lot of people don't ever apologize to their audience or people that watch their videos or listen to their advice, and I think that's really fucked up, to be honest. But yeah, at the core of it, I've always said that if you enjoy a lot of this stuff, you like making, like, a Tokyo Revenger deck, and you really enjoy having two Mikey SSPs in there like I do, right? And if that's what you like, then great. And if you're willing to spend the money on it and you're not afraid of it going down in value, that's fine, right? But if you're looking to really invest in these things and expecting these things to retain value, you want to be very, very, very careful. And I gave all these examples because I want you to see that the proof is there that a lot of times when it comes to speculative markets, if you're buying at these ridiculously high prices, you're going to lose money, especially if you're thinking about it as an investment. So, at the core of it, buy what you like as long as you enjoy it. Treat it as a hobby, especially nowadays. If you're looking to invest, just don't, to be honest. Don't listen. Honestly, it should be so obvious when you look at it. Like, should you listen to someone saying sealed investments in their name, or like any sort of investments, the word investment, or like financial, anything related to financial in their name? Should you ever listen to these people, or like graded sealed Charizard Baller 59 or whatever it is, like 42069 Mountain Dew? Like, it should be so obvious when you look at the names of these people that, give this advice, and it's kind of ironic, right? It's kind of like just saying someone's a Nigerian scammer, and you listen to a Nigerian scammer and believe that they were a Nigerian prince and they were going to give you gold if you send them money. Pretty much it's like falling for that. But yeah, that's pretty much my message for today. Just be careful out there. Now that prices are kind of low, it's a good time to collect what you want. And then there's still gonna be some items like those things like the albedo, and these certain cards are just really high in price, like Pokemon, for example. If you look at the Moonbryon from Evolving Skies and stuff like that, you could say that the prices are stable, but at the same time, if you're just looking to invest in it, think about how many people are willing to actually buy these things, how easy it is for you to offload a lot of these things, and is it worth it in the end for you, as opposed to you just investing in something that's actually real, like stocks or something like that, right? Or your retirement plan. So yeah, just be careful out there, and thank you for watching as usual. Hopefully, when it comes to this type of content, I really do enjoy making it because I like talking about these topics, and I feel like not enough people talk about like the downsides of certain things, and they only talk about, oh, when they make a lot of money, or like, oh, see, I wish everyone would listen to me, I'm a genius and stuff like that. But no one ever apologizes when they're wrong, and I think that's really, really important. But yeah, thank you guys for watching again, and I hope you have a great day. Take care.